Hi there, my name is Christopher R. Mim. I'm the host of this new Patreon exclusive content called Mimiverse Cheese and Chit-Chat. And in this new content, this new audio thing, I'm going to talk to the stars of the Mimiverse, and we're going to also eat cheese. Sitting next to me is my co-host, my daughter. You guys know her well. Her name is Alice Mim. Say hi, Alice Mim.
Hi, Alice Mim.
That joke never gets old. Our first guest for the inaugural Mimiverse Cheese and Chit-Chat is none other than Queenie Bee herself from the latest movie, 3 Bad Girls Who Find a Gun and Become Vampires. Also starring my co-host,
Alice Mim.
That's her. One of the stars of the movie, Jackie Baker, who plays Queenie Bee. Say hello, Jackie Baker.
Hello, Jackie Baker.
God dang it. I knew it was coming. Anyway,
Bad girls got to stick together.
Yeah. But
right.
I thought you wanted to be a good girl who does good things and goes to church and never steals from the collection plate at church, right? So in this new thing, this is an opportunity for you, the listeners, to get to know some of the behind-the-scenes folks, some of the actors, the people who help make the Mimiverse what it is. And we started with Jackie partially because she was here discussing another project, which we'll talk about. But that's why we started with Jackie. She was here.
So honored to have been asked.
Thank you for being a part of the first episode ever of Mimiverse Cheese and Chit-Chat. If you're wondering why Cheese and Chit-Chat, well, because I make cheesy movies. And I like cheese. Do you like cheese?
I love cheese.
Do you like cheese?
Generally.
Yeah. So one of the things we're going to do to start off every show from this point forward is we're going to try a cheese. Sometimes it's going to be weird cheese. Sometimes, like tonight, maybe not so weird cheese, but we're going to try it. And then we're going to describe what we think of it and talk about it, starting with cheese before we get into the cheesy movies. You see, it's a
segue.
It's a gateway, really. It's a gateway into what you all want to know about, and that is Jackie a real redhead? We'll get to that. So for our inaugural episode, we went with probably the most, I would say, expensive cheese we had in our fridge. And honestly, it probably is the most expensive cheese we had in our fridge, because this was an idea I came up with recently to do this whole thing. And I talked to Tyler Haynes. You guys know Tyler Haynes, and we were talking about doing this. Tonight, we were talking about something else, and we started talking about incorporating cheese into it, and that's when it all came together, and it was clear that this had to happen. So, what cheese, Alice Mim, do we have in front of us that we're all going to try?
We have smoked string cheese. That was bad.
Take 2 on that, Alice. I might edit that out. I may leave that. Alice, what kind of cheese are we trying? We're ironing out the issues. We got the dog barking. Mm-hmm. This is the idea, though, that it's natural that everyone listening should feel like they're here with us. Yes, watching us fail.
They should also have some cheese while they listen to us talk.
You know what? Get some cheese. You don't have to have whatever Alice called it, but you can try something similar. So what are we eating cheese-wise?
Smoked string cheese.
Smoked string cheese. If you like string cheese, no one can say it. Smoked string cheese is one of my favorites, but not everyone likes it.
Ew.
Alice does not agree. Have you ever had smoked string cheese?
I don't believe I have.
This is going to be exciting or not. So we're all going to take a little piece here of smoked string cheese, which is hard to say. We got to smell it. I definitely get...
Smells smoked, yeah.
Smokiness. You know, string cheese is generally white. Yes, just it's like a bright white cheese. This is kind of an off yellowish color from the smoke.
Tannish.
Kind of a khaki. Kind of khaki. It's kind of a khaki cheese. Kind of a beigey khaki cheese. Now, question before we all try it. This is, in fact, a chunk of string cheese. How do you eat string cheese? Go.
If I bite into this, are you going to kick me off the show?
Yeah.
Well, I mean,
my answer is dependent on that.
No, we will accept anyone's weird cheese eating
I bite
issues.
it.
I will not
I bite it off.
Your string cheese.
I'm
Alice
Hold
is going to glare at you for the rest of it.
Sorry.
So you're just going to eat it like a chunk of cheese. So you hear string cheese, and you know that traditionally you pull strings off it, hence string cheese.
I'm aware.
And you're
I've
like,
seen it done.
I'm a rebel. Screw you guys and your stringed cheese. I'm going to eat it like a chunk of cheddar. Do you grab like the block of other cheese and you just take a bite? Or do you string that? You grab
I'm super rebellious.
You got a block of cheddar and you're like, I'm going to string this damn thing. Rah! All right. So everyone, how do you eat it, Alice? I got to know. You're stringing it?
Stringing.
I'm stringing it.
The way
all right.
it's supposed
I'm
to,
biting
Jackie.
it.
Jackie is a weirdo. Let's do this. Let's try this cheese. This makes for really good audio content, by the way.
Chewing.
If you have misophonia, you're like, God, I can't listen to this anymore.
Not as strong of a flavor as I thought it might be.
Not as smoky as you thought?
Yeah.
Alice, you still hate it?
A little better than I thought it was.
I absolutely love this stuff. And it is actually expensive.
Yeah.
A regular thing of string cheese is, I don't know, $4 or $5 for like 12 of them. This is like almost $10 for like a dozen of these things. It's one of my favorite snacks, honestly.
It's a solid snack. I have to agree with Chris on this one.
It's salty, right? Mm-hmm. But it's got that smoky aftertaste.
It's it's less creamy, I think, than regular string cheese.
It kind of dries it out a little.
Yeah, it's a little, But
not in a bad way where it's like you're not eating just dry-ass cheese, which is not great unless it's, I suppose, Parmesan or whatever. But, I'm going to become an expert on cheese here.
It has a weird mouthfeel.
Oh my gosh.
Really, Alice?
Pulling out the mouthfeel.
Mouthfeel. Alice says it has a weird mouthfeel because it's not
Smoky.
quite creamy enough.
It's not. I think it's creamy.
Is it the flavor you don't like?
It just leaves the smokiness in your mouth for too long.
That's a taste, not a mouthfeel.
I think it's
just gonna throw that out there.
She's gonna reclaim the word to mean flavor.
If you look it up, it probably means what I think.
I love it.
I
Smoked
like
string
it.
cheese is good stuff.
It's
usually I try to.
Mid.
It's mid. You can tell the ages.
Wow.
We're like three sort of like separate generations here. That's the beauty of
yeah.
this, right? See, I'm closing in on 50 here, so I'm tail end of Gen X. But we got Jackie, who is we'll just say she's a millennial. We'll be nice and not tell everyone that she's super old. Just kidding.
Hey, my birthday was yesterday.
Hey, her birthday. Happy birthday, Jackie.
Older. Thank you.
Happy birthday, Jackie.
Happy birthday, Jackie.
So Jackie's a millennial, and Alice is Gen Alpha. You're like 12.
How dare you?
Oh my.
Right? You're like 10.
I'm a Gen Z.
She's Gen Z. She's a Zoomer, so she says stuff like mid.
Not generally.
She's a weird Gen Z kid because her favorite like musical artist is like Ricky Nelson.
And Elvis.
And
Don't forget Elvis.
You know, if you've seen The Wad, Alice's character shows up, and she talks about all of her goats. What are the names of the goats?
Elvis, Ricky Nelson, Bobby Vinton, and Frankie and Annette.
And you know who all those people are.
Yes, I do.
Now, what's your favorite Bobby Vinton song?
Mr. Lonely.
See, this is weird. What about Ricky Nelson?
Oh.
Oh, God, that's like, how dare you ask me to choose a favorite child?
Probably I'm old enough to love.
Wow.
You
know who Bobby Vinton
in the
is?
wrong year. Yeah,
Okay.
but not as well as Alice does,
All right.
I would say.
So here we are. We've had our cheese, and now it's time for the Chit-Chat. Jackie, tell us who you are, and don't talk about just like generals. Like, really tell us who you are.
Tell us.
No. Okay, so tell us where you're from and how you got mixed up and found yourself in my backyard, because we're outside. I don't know if you can hear
it. Okay,
how did you end up in my backyard here in May of 2025?
Where did it take a turn?
At what point did your life turn?
It was, in fact, New Year's Day, January 1st, 2017. 2017, yeah. And I was in Dallas.
Minding your own damn business.
I really was. I'm from Dallas, Texas, originally, and I was at a convention that does not exist anymore. We will leave that out of it.
It had like 1 year.
It was not a very good show.
No.
But it was the last day, and I was walking around the vendor hall one last time. Any final purchases?
The empty vendor hall that was empty the entire time.
Yeah, it was sad. But
I think half the guests actually went home because they
did. They were packing up as I was leaving. Yeah,
and there was it was bad. Like, it was the worst run convention I've ever been to. There was no money. like Stan Lee was the main like guest, and he
Yes,
left early because
he did.
I don't think his check cleared.
Yeah.
I was a guest there.
Yeah, there was like a bunch of problems with like the rooms too for like attendees. And, it was a
people were getting kicked out of the
nightmare.
rooms. Nothing went wrong for me. Honestly, it was like I was the literally Stan Lee was at the top of the guest list. I was the absolute bottom of the guest list.
Nothing could go wrong with you because they forgot you existed.
Honestly, they gave me a room and a table, and that's it.
Yeah. I actually had a really good time at that con. I didn't have any problems. Some people I know had problems with like the VIP badges and this and that, and like I was fine. So I got really lucky. I got to see Stan Lee. He signed a book for me. So
I think Brian O'Halloran was Dante from Clerks was there, and he was like the MC of the night's entertainments and stuff. And I mean, it was like a cool show, but it was run really poorly.
Yeah. Good idea, poor execution.
So New Year's Day, and I went over at New Year's. My family was not happy that I was not here for New Year's Eve, but I was down there and doing this thing. And it's New Year's Day, and she's minding her own business, walking through the vendor hall.
Yeah, I'm making my final lap. I'm literally about to leave, and my friend Michael Cross spots me, and he's standing behind a vendor table with this guy I've never seen before, and he's like, "Jackie, come meet Chris."
I actually remember he just went, "Jackie Baker, come over here."
Yeah, just lured me in just like that, and I was like, "Okay." And Michael was like, "You like cheesy movies, horror movies, etc." And I was like, "Well, yeah." And he's like, "Look at these." And I somehow got suckered into buying all of them.
It wasn't so much suckered as I was like...
No, he gave me a really good deal,
I was
actually.
like, I need to sell something.
I think you were trying to break even at that point.
I think so, because it was like, I just need enough money to pay off like the food I bought. Because everything else was generally paid for except for like meals. Like they put me up.
Yeah.
I think they even flew me down there. So it was like, I really didn't have a lot except I had to pay for my own meals. And I was like, I need to make some money because I hadn't at that point. I think I'd made like $50, and we had how many up through Skeeto? And so I was like, "You want to buy some movies?" And I remember distinctly like slowly lowering the price because it was like a full set was like, I don't know, $80 or $100 or something.
I think you gave it to me for $75.
No, it was 50.
Was it 50?
It was $50.
Man, I got a good deal.
I got down to it, and it was like, how many DVDs was that? Like, it was like a dozen DVDs or something.
Yeah, that sounds right.
And I was just like, $50, please. Yeah, it was ridiculous. It was like a dozen DVDs.
I think you gave me a poster too. Like
I was like throwing stuff and just like, take stuff so I don't have to take it home with me.
Yeah, so that's how I got introduced to the Memiverse and to Chris. I mean, I met him face to face at that con in Dallas, and honestly, I thought that was cool. I'll never see that guy again.
Right.
Like I really never.
I've never heard of him. I'll watch one of his movies.
Yeah,
I suppose.
You were like, "Oh, I'm from Minnesota," and I was like, "Well, I'll never see him in Dallas again." Little did I know that.
Do you remember the first one? You got those movies home. Obviously, you didn't like get home immediately and be like, "I must watch this movie." But do you remember the first movie you watched?
I do, and it was House of Ghosts.
And did that do it? Was it like, all right,
it was like,
I'm in.
"Oh, this is my thing." Yeah,
I'm into this. Yes, you are my friend on Letterboxd, the app where you can keep track of everything you watch. And you and I are friends, and you can see what your friends watch. And I've seen what she watches. And it's always the weirdest crap. So it's like, yeah, it makes sense. It tracks that you ended up being, into my movies.
Exactly my kind of genre, if you will.
Like, what was the last movie you watched? Was it anything groundbreaking?
I think the last thing I watched was Dead Heat.
Good stuff.
And that's
Good stuff. Okay.
Yeah, so
So you watched that. How did you end up here?
Yeah. So after that,
she's being attacked by a moth.
That seems really appropriate for
at night in Minnesota.
It's a normal sized moth, not a giant one, though.
No, yeah.
I would be a little disappointed.
I feel
not
like
a giant moth.
I feel like if we actually saw a moth the size of the one from that movie, we'd all be freaking out right now for real. And then Alice would say, "It's so pretty."
I'm
does
terrible.
Not remember her lines. Wow.
She doesn't remember her lines
How can
at
you
all.
work with these actors, Chris?
Dude, I worked with her way too much, and she's
Let's not talk about me. Let's not talk about me and my lines.
Whoa.
Let's brawl.
Oh my gosh.
This is an audio medium, guys.
Okay.
Save the fights for the video version.
I would love to see a babyface Queenie Bee, just like
Just
put him up. Let's not do that.
yeah.
Right. So our mutual friend Michael Cross,
The late great Michael Cross.
the late great Michael Cross. Back in 2017, he was he was practically your Texas PR person.
He was basically my manager.
Yeah,
in
your
Texas.
manager.
He was every 6
to 8 weeks, I think.
He was like finding me something else to come down and do.
Yeah.
Like he had found me the one that I was there for.
Yeah.
Was he set that up?
So I think, like 6 weeks later, probably, you came down for an Alamo Drafthouse screening.
Yep.
Of, I want to say it was Spider. Was it? No. What was it?
What is it, Alice?
I wasn't there.
I can't remember.
You're so mid.
I'm so mid.
Did
for
I use that correctly?
Probably.
Do you have a favorite Elvis song?
I can't pick.
You have to pick one by the end of the show.
Oh my gosh.
Okay, I'll think. I'll
Do you-
think.
The pressure.
Anyway, going on.
Oh my gosh.
Think.
Okay.
Since you're...
So
hell
yeah,
was that noise?
you were showing some movie. I can't remember which one now. But at Alamo, and again, Michael Cross was like, you should come to the movie, whatever. It's like $5 for a ticket or something. And I was like, yeah, okay. And I believe y'all had previously had someone who had kind of been helping you behind the table sell movies.
Michael seemed to know everyone, right?
Yeah, true.
The joke is that he was the spider, and it was his web that kept everybody down in the
Yeah.
Dallas-Fort Worth area involved. There was another young woman who was helping out at Michael's behest when I do events, and it was just sort of like a table helper, because sitting behind those tables, especially if you're a guest at a convention, sometimes you get pulled away or whatever, and it's just like someone who would sit at your table. She showed up for a couple of them, and then I don't remember why, but she just sort of stopped.
I never even met her, so I have no idea
I can't
why
honestly
she
remember her name.
stopped coming.
But she was also a redhead.
Yeah.
So Michael had a type.
Clearly. And at the Alamo event, I just kind of naturally wound up behind the table helping out, because that's
started helping.
Kind of the person I am. I was like, oh, do you need someone to restock those DVDs? I'll do it.
And I was like,
That's just
sure. And
who
that
I
was
am.
it. That was
Yeah,
it.
so once I got behind the table, I kept being behind the table, and for the next, I guess, 4 years until 2020 hit, I helped every time you came down to Texas, and we had a lot of long, really weird conversations on the slow days.
Well, and I think it became clear at that point, I was like, well, this girl's all right. I mean, it was like... And you did a bunch of conventions and stuff before, just as an attendee.
As an attendee.
Mm-hmm. I know whenever people would help me, a lot of them were attendees to a lot of events, and I was like, it's just so nice to have somewhere to sit.
Yeah, it really is. I can leave my bag under the table. Amazing.
Right, exactly. You didn't have to worry about, like, where's my stuff?
Yeah.
So that's how you ended up getting to know
Yeah.
me and getting into the Mimiverse.
Yeah. I watched all the movies up to that point, and as they came out.
And pretty much helped with, I think, every single event from that point forward.
I think so, yeah.
I don't think there was a single event you missed.
We even went to Oklahoma that one time.
Yeah.
Remember?
Yeah. The
Tishomingo.
Tishomingo, yes. Do you remember the name of that theater?
I don't, and it doesn't exist anymore, so.
It's gone?
It is.
Oh, that theater is so
It
cool.
is,
It's like a single screen theater in Tishomingo.
Yep.
This guy we knew from down, who was from Oklahoma, knew a guy who was looking to show a movie, and they asked if they could show The Giant Spider, and I was like, I'll work it out. So I was down there for another event in Dallas, then we drove up to the Tishomingo Theater, rest in peace, and we showed The Giant Spider. And no, go ahead.
Sorry. Well, no. Finish your thought if it's about that event, because I actually thought of something else.
So one of my favorite stories I tell about that theater that I found really interesting as a guy who has lived in Minnesota his entire life was, I don't remember if you remember this, but it was a single screen Main Street theater in small town USA, right? A guy had bought it and fixed it up and reopened it with the help from his dad, who had grown up in the area, right? And his dad had to have been 70 or older, right? Maybe even 80. I mean, he was an old guy, right? We got there, and the owner was showing us around the theater, and his dad was there talking about all the things they did. Oh, we fixed this, we fixed this, we fixed this. And his dad told this story that really, really hit me. The weight of it didn't dawn on me at first until I was like, oh, wait. So his dad's talking about growing up in that area, and he said that he used to go to that theater when he was a kid, and he was always mad because he couldn't sit with his friends up in the balcony. And I was like, why not? Oh, wait.
The South.
Segregation. Like, it was not legal for him to sit up there because he was a white guy and all his friends were up in the balcony. I was like, oh. Being from here, that's not something you ever hear about or think about because that was not a thing here. So it was like one of those like, oh, yeah, right. Holy crap.
Yeah.
And then it was like, oh, yeah, we used to have separate water fountains and all that stuff. And I'm like, holy crap. Okay, yeah.
Yeah, those were some times.
So that
Way
was
before my time, thankfully.
But that was one thing especially when I meet different theater owners around the country when I show stuff, especially small town single screeners, I always tell them that story. Also the story about the guy who found the gun in Wisconsin in the theater. I'll tell that story some other time. Go ahead.
I was going to add that I think what really solidified our friendship was when we took that little trip to the Aurora Cemetery. You already know.
Yes.
So in Aurora, Texas, we were at a convention and talking to somebody who bought some movies, and he mentioned like, oh, the alien graveyard in Aurora, Texas. And Chris was like, the what?
The what?
Now?
I'm sorry. The what?
Yeah. And there's like, you know, back in like the 1800s, supposedly this alien spacecraft crashed and they buried all of it in the graveyard there. They didn't know what else to do with it. You know, it's not like Roswell existed,
right?
Then, I guess. So, so there's like a memorial marker and stuff at the Aurora graveyard, and you were like, "That sounds really cool.
I want to see that."
Yeah, where's Aurora? The guy was like, "Oh, it's like 45 minutes west of here," and you just turned to me so fast and were like, "Can we go?"
And you were like, "I don't know." You're like, "Yes, we can go."
Yeah, I guess. So after the con that night, we went and drove out to the graveyard.
So cool.
We got there right at dusk and like drove through the little cemetery, and we're like, spooky. Anyway, it was very fun.
I love that
little bonding moment.
I love that alien stuff. We went to Roswell as part of our little family trip a couple years ago. I live for that stuff. I love that stuff. And that was like, wait, there's an alien grave within driving distance, and you haven't taken me there yet. It was like, come on.
Yes.
Well, I remember the guy mentioned it, and Michael's like, yeah, did you know about that? And it was like, why would I?
Yeah.
Can we go? And you're like, yeah, I guess.
Yeah,
that was awesome.
I was like pulling it up on my phone and was like, yeah, it's about 45 minutes
far
away. Yeah, we can go. So yeah, once our friendship was solidified, I suppose, well, 2020 happened, and that was tough on everybody. Yeah. And
you were there. You were there.
I was there
when everything shut down.
Yeah, the con that wasn't, basically.
And that was the last time I saw Michael Cross, actually, because it was
also the last time I saw him as well.
Yeah, like 3 or 4 months later, and he had a massive heart attack, and that was it.
Yeah,
it wasn't even COVID that got him. It was just the man.
He
liked to smoke and drink, and he was in his early 60s. He didn't really take care of himself that well, let's be honest, but he lived an interesting life, it seems like.
That's for sure.
Because we also found out after the fact that he had a kid none of us knew about.
None of us knew.
And it wasn't like he was like 20 something.
Yep.
No idea.
Yep.
So going into post-COVID, how did you end up here?
Right. I think you came down to Texas like twice.
It was twice. Well, okay.
Once or twice.
2021, there was an all-con. And then I did I was there with you and
the
me
Halloween
the Halloween Preservation Society thing. And then we did go down there one more time in 2022.
Right, in the summer. Yeah. Right. So you only went down to Texas like 3 more times during that time. And
that's when my co-host Alice Mim went down to Texas and saw some steers or something.
Yeah, when it was
longhorns.
Too hot.
It was too hot for your little Minnesotan self.
My northern blood.
Yeah, you and David were like about to die.
David, who plays Butch, were just complaining about the heat the whole time because it was like
you had umbrellas. You were fine.
It was July in Dallas.
It
was
wasn't
very
that hot.
warm.
It wasn't the sun.
Listen, I was in all black and I was fine. Y'all are babies. Anyway,
you're a Texan.
Yeah, you're a Texan.
I am a Texan.
No.
Around that time, I was thinking that I was wanting to get out of Texas.
So probably a good choice.
Yeah.
No offense to anyone who might be listening to this in Texas. You know, it's probably a good choice.
I had a few reasons to leave, not least because Dallas had a lot of people move in, and boy, the traffic was enough to.
The traffic is always driving down there. Is
I mean, pull your hair out.
It's Mad Max,
man.
People just drive like nuts.
Yeah. It was becoming a lot, and I was really unhappy with...
Also, the roads down there make no sense, but that's another discussion.
Yeah, that's a whole thing. You get used to it, I guess, question mark.
I mean, yeah, because
Until
there's
a
like,
new road
there's
pops
like,
up and
there's
you're like,
like the
"What the?"
expressway right next to the freeway, right next to the highway, right next to the
And none of them are labeled.
frontage road.
And none of them are labeled.
They're all the same number.
Yeah.
And then there's
just
also
like,
the side streets next to that.
And the
Yeah.
road roller coasters.
Right.
Yeah, there's a lot of the high five has like a bunch of highways that have big bridges that loop around. It's insane. It's insane. Yeah, and I wasn't really happy with the office that I was working in at the time, and some other things, and I was like, I think it might be time to move and just kind of get a fresh start somewhere. And well, I had a friend in Minnesota. And it was a more thought out decision than that.
That was it.
No.
She was just like, I'm gonna get out of here.
I know a single person, that's enough.
I know some people up there. And you visited. You had been up here.
I did. I visited. Well, and part of the reason too was that I was able to keep my job.
Yeah.
I'm still with the same company. I'm in a slightly different position, but I was able to just transfer up here basically. So that was a big part of it too. Like, I don't have to find a new job. Let's do that. And of course, I visited a few times and
came up to a couple premieres.
Yeah, I came up to some premieres, watched some curling.
Yeah, that's what got you hooked.
Oh no.
That's what got you hooked.
Yeah,
that's Alice's fault.
Definitely. Yep, that was definitely the draw. Haha, it's a curling pun.
The fact that you know that that's a curling pun is
what
bad.
have you done to me? What have you done to me?
Curling was the draw. And everyone's like, I don't get it.
Watch some curling.
Okay, so in a curling match is usually called a draw, but also when you throw a rock wow, it has gone nuts. There's a dog,
chaos.
there's a baby. In curling, when you throw a rock that is meant to stop in the house but not go through, the house being those rings you're throwing at.
The circle.
The circle. That's called a draw.
And I knew that.
And she just made a frickin' pun out of it.
I made a joke.
You're Minnesotan.
Oh,
She's
God.
full on. I don't
Listen,
know.
I don't mind the abundance of beer and cheese up here. All right.
That's, cheese and Chit-Chat. This
That's
is the
what
Chit-Chat
that's
portion
what
of Cheese and Chit-Chat.
That's what was your decision.
Yeah,
You were
it was really the cheese and the
decider.
curling.
Yeah.
So
Did you know what cheese curds were before?
I did, and
Okay.
I envied them being on every menu here because it's so rare in Texas. You get it on
I
one
met
out of every
people down
20
there
menus.
who'd never heard of them.
Yeah,
Like,
because
what's a
they're
cheese
rare.
curd?
They're
I'm like,
rare.
the most amazing thing known to man.
Yeah, I probably didn't know what they were until I was out of college.
Next to Ricky Nelson and curling.
Oh my.
Oh, and poutine.
And poutine.
You love
Oh, yeah.
poutine.
Which involves
Curling.
Cheese curds.
cheese curds.
Oh, wow. My mind goes
also-
to one thing.
Yeah.
With Alice, curling
all-
and poutine, Canada, it's all
It's all the same. It's all the same. Anyway.
Because where did you first try poutine? Probably at the curling
At the
club.
curling
yeah.
club.
Yeah.
Solid poutine at the curling club.
Yeah.
I will.
They
They've
changed
changed
it.
it. They've
It's
changed
not
it.
as
It's not as
good.
good as it once was.
No,
Yeah, I know.
devastating.
It's like bits of pork.
See,
Because it used to be the
traditional poutine does not. Okay, so poutine for everyone's like, what the hell's poutine? But this is a cheese chat.
Yeah, so we're talking
cheese
about
and
cheese.
Chit-Chat. Poutine is a Canadian dish, at least as far as I understand. It comes from Canada, and it's French fries covered in cheese curds and gravy. That's supposed to be
brown gravy.
Brown gravy,
Not
right.
cream gravy for all
Right.
of you Southerners who understand what I'm talking about.
Okay, speaking of cream gravy.
You dip French fries in cream gravy. It's quite good. Try it if you never have.
They actually put cream gravy on the poutine at the club now.
Oh.
See,
Yeah.
I didn't
See,
even know
that's
that
not poutine,
you
though.
No.
you Southerners love your cream gravy.
Oh,
I was down there one time.
oh,
I went
yeah.
and I got like
You put that on everything.
fast food, and they're like, "Do you want
And
gravy?"
Whataburger.
And I was like, "For what?" No,
For your Texas toast? For your
fries,
chicken
your
strips?
toast,
for your
or
fries?
whatever. I'm like, I guess.
The answer's always yes.
So that's poutine, right? There's sort of an American variation. We keep finding places which you add in like pulled pork or something like that.
Right.
And our curling club, which Alice is a frequent flyer, had this really great poutine.
It was
that
pot roast poutine.
It was like pot
It
roast
was so
poutine.
good.
It
It
was
yeah.
fantastic.
Giant
It's
chunks.
so good, but it's gone now. They've changed their menu. They suck.
Sad.
We got into cheese. I'm
We
happy that
talked
we got
about
back
cheese.
to
We
cheese.
circled it back. I love that. All right.
Thanks, Alice.
You're welcome.
Alice said she wasn't going to talk, but she's being plenty talkative.
Weirdly.
So you ended up moving up here.
I did. I moved November of 2023.
Right. And you got the hell out of Texas because of the lack of cheese curds.
That's correct.
Like, who wants to
Yeah,
live?
the devastating lack of cheese curds.
Yeah, I mean, who wants to live somewhere where it's hard to find cheese curds?
Not me.
I
That's
don't.
for sure.
Good Lord. So you ended up here.
I
and
did.
You bought a house.
I did.
And
You filmed in that house
I was
before
gonna
I
say-
moved in.
I was going to ask, what was the first thing I said once you picked out a house and you're like, hey, can you just go check it out?
Literally, can I film here?
Can I film here? I ended up
Of
filming
course.
parts of the WAD before you even moved up here. Because
Yep.
you bought your house.
So I bought my house. I closed on it in August. I immediately went out of the country to Japan and then came back and then had to pack my stuff and actually move. And that happened at the beginning of November. So it was
Right.
sitting there empty for 2 months.
So we went and just kind of made sure it was okay. And at one point we went there and found out that the furnace was actually leaking a little
Yep.
bit. So that was nice for us to
Yeah,
figure out
good-
that
good on
before
ya.
you moved in and you exploded. There's a little natural gas collecting in the house. But we took care of that for you. But yeah, the first thing I was like, can I film here? And you're like, of course. I
Of
was
course.
expecting that.
Yeah.
So there's parts of the WAD. In the WAD, the interviews with Mike Cook as Dr. Edwards and the interviews with Jim Norgard are in Jackie's house.
Yep, that's the first pieces of furniture that got put in the house as well. Because you left that chair and that table, and I
Yep.
still have them.
Down in your basement, the wood paneling
Yeah.
that Dr. Gabriel's sitting in front of. We went down there and just filmed it. And it was like Alice and I and Jim just filming. And then the stuff with Mike was upstairs, just the white walls. And we brought some stuff over and
Yep.
just filmed. It was pretty cool, actually.
Yeah.
You've lived there for just over, a year and a half.
Year and a half, almost
And
exactly. Yep.
we've already filmed 2 movies there.
Yeah.
So
Wasting
that brings
no
us
time.
to you're here. You're a curling enthusiast. You've discovered how
my
great
God.
poutine is. You've learned how to make jokes that are like curling puns.
My.
You fit right in. This then, of course, leads to. I mean, you show up in Annihilate All Humans a little bit.
Yeah, little
In like 2 little.
silent
yeah.
cameo things. Yeah.
Because you were up here and we filmed some stuff for the alien attack scenes. But your first true introduction in
Yes,
the Mimiverse
my debut.
is the latest film. What's it called?
3 bad girls who find a gun and become vampires.
Correct. Tell us about Queenie Bee.
Queenie Bee.
It was
You mean
it was typecasting. of
yeah,
course.
the role that was literally made for me. So I believe, yeah, you got the idea with Alice. And
Yeah, Alice and I did a little marathon of a couple really bad, cheesy
Great movie.
juvenile delinquent films that it was like 4 days later I had a script.
yeah, like you were like, I have 3 girls that I can turn into
Yep.
bad girls and vampires. Let's do this.
I think it's the fastest turnaround in any script I've ever written. We wrote a
I
script
mean-
and we had our like cast read through within 10 days.
yeah, yeah. I mean, I think on any script written by anyone ever,
It was just so quick.
it was.
And then filming in 2 months
Yeah.
later.
So yeah,
Do you remember the read through
yes.
and sort of the reaction everyone had to being like,
The
what
increasing
is this?
like ridiculousness of it, because it was the first time any of us had seen the script besides you.
Right, and like Alice
Alice
and I
had-
and Elliot, who played my son Elliot, who played Mute.
Yeah, so most of us were getting this just, going in blind. And if you've seen the movie, you know what some of those lines are like. And, how many times did we say
It's
the
not
collection
a
played
great
the
film.
church?
That's a double negative.
It
That means
is.
it is a great
That
film.
means it is a great
Oh
film.
my. So it's, the perfect role for me.
Right, it's you being you.
yeah,
but
it
over
is.
the top. Yeah,
Yeah, I think you when we first filmed, the direction you gave me was unstable.
right.
And I think I delivered that.
Like I said, typecasting.
Just
It's like Alice.
I mean-
she's the good girl at the end who just wants to do good and be with Gerald.
Apparently.
Apparently, yeah.
apparently.
Where do we know Gerald from?
Yeah. who's
Curling.
Gerald?
Yeah. How about Chauncey? Where do we know him from?
Curling.
Yeah. Now it's our recruiting grounds
Yes.
for apparently movies. So yeah, I mean, I would like to say for the record that I think you do a fantastic job, both you in that film. You really understood what I was going for. And if I remember correctly, you were having lots of fun with the dialogue. There was never any complaints. Never
No,
once
not
did
at
anyone
all.
say something along the lines of, what the hell is this crap you wrote? Never once. It was always like, this is probably the greatest moment of my life. I don't think this will ever be topped.
Did those words come out of my mouth?
That's what I heard.
Oh, okay. Yeah, that sounds
Despite
right.
you actually saying, seriously,
So,
what is with
I
this?
think the scene that broke me was when we're robbing Jim, Pastor Goodman.
Right.
And it's you have 3 lines that are all almost the same, but not the same, about going down to the racetrack at 3 o'clock to bet on the horses. And it broke me. It broke me. They were so close to each other and yet so different. And I was messing them up each time. Oh my God.
What's hilarious though is like the takes we end up using are there's no cuts. It's this long, obnoxious run-on sentence, and you just every time. That's one of my favorite scenes in the entire thing, partially because my favorite joke in the entire movie is, "Oh, we must have been mistaken. Yeah, we must have been mistaken. Yeah, we must have been." So
mistaken.
So it's like my favorite thing. It gets a laugh every time just because it's so stupid. And that's my favorite part of that movie, is it's so dumb.
It was super fun to film, and it is dumb. It's ridiculous fun, and I had a really good time playing, a terrible person, because I always do.
Typecasting.
Can I talk about my acting before being on film?
Yeah, absolutely. Tell us about.
So
let's get into the essence of Jackie.
The essence. So I had never acted on film before, but I had 3 years.
Wait, before we get too far into this, there's a lingering question here.
Oh God.
Are you a real redhead?
I knew that was coming. You'll never know. I'm just kidding. No, I'm not a natural redhead.
But you should be.
But
this is the weird thing about Jackie.
I have embraced it.
Is that when I found out that you're actually kind of a blonde.
I'm blonde.
Some things tracked, but generally,
excuse you.
generally, I was shocked. Here's the thing I should say about Jackie, and I'll say this right here, is that I think one of the reasons why I felt like we got along so well is that you're basically the sister I never had.
Yeah.
And it was very apparent from the beginning that it was like, she's basically my little sister.
Yeah. He greatly enjoys being the big brother I never had.
Right.
And getting to pick on his little sister.
Right. And Alice is like the littlest sister to Jackie.
Yeah.
And Jackie should buy her more stuff.
That is definitely the takeaway.
Do I not buy you enough stuff? I feel that you're quite spoiled already.
I haven't seen much from it.
So going back, tell us about your other acting.
Right. So I had 3 years of experience working at a haunted house. Dark Hour Haunted House in Plano, Texas. If you ever get the chance to go. It's great. And so I had done acting, I suppose. I had some roles that were not speaking roles and some that were. I played I think I played 5 of the witches who are the Dark Hour, like they're the members of the Dark Hour Coven. Yeah, that of course it does. So I had some roles where I did like speak, and it was more, you don't have lines really. You have a character and then you kind of improv within that character.
Spooky improv.
Yeah, spooky improv. And you chase people here and there. It's a good time.
I've often wondered, do you have any good stories of people who just got so freaking scared by what you're doing? Like, have you ever had anyone just like freak out?
Yes. I have a lot of good ones. I played the Tooth Fairy's sister, which was a not speaking role because the mask for that is like rows and rows and rows of teeth in the bottom jaw.
Nice.
So like she's not going to talk because she can't close her mouth. It's a gaping maw of teeth. So that was a silent role, but I was up on a table and I would just like stand there completely still when people came into the room and they would look at me, and then I would just drop on them. Like into a crouch, just straight at them.
You could see Alice's face.
I put people on the floor occasionally because they just like they would
Anyone
fall
ever
back.
take a swing at you?
Oh yeah. Oh, I've been hit. Yeah, I have. Yeah, definitely been hit a few times. I think my favorite scare though was one time I was a vampire and I was up on top of a coffin that was laying flat. So I was pretty high up there. And the vampire room in Dark Hour at the time anyway, it had like this kind of like moody kind of like techno like music or whatever. I don't know.
It's the Blade room.
It is. It is. It's the Blade room. So like people would come into it and often be like, woo, and like start like dancing. And there was this one guy who was walking around the coffin that I was on dancing, and he like, he like pointed at me. He was like, yeah, woo, girl. And he like did this little spin where he turned around. So when he wasn't facing me, I dropped off the coffin. So when he turned back around, I was literally an inch from his face. And he not only screamed, he screamed again. I got a double scream out of him, which was just so much fun. Anyway, so yeah, so I I had a great time doing that. I love chasing people down hallways. Don't read into that too much. Anyway.
Read everything into
No,
that.
oh, it's fine. I'm joking mostly.
So you're saying it's like that Pee Wee Herman scene where he's getting off the bus after seeing the snake and he's just screaming the whole way.
Like a little girl. Yeah.
I've seen that ghost in the haunted house. I have, yeah.
Nice. So, where do you see yourself in 5 years? This is a job interview
5
now.
years? What? Well, we jumped so far.
Actually, you know what's kind of funny is that I always thought that question in job interviews is ridiculous
it's
because
stupid. You don't know.
where the hell were you 5 years ago, and did you imagine you'd be here?
Yeah, I was in COVID lockdown
Yeah, I
5
mean,
years ago. No one
5
could
years
have
is a
predicted
long
that.
time.
Yeah, I think that's a stupid question too. But
So tell us about what else you do outside of the movies, even though it doesn't matter and no one cares because only people listen to this because they love my movies so much and they love me.
No, because they love Queenie Bee specifically.
Right.
Whoa, get Babyface in there.
Or Evelyn Johnson. Come
Evelyn
on.
Johnson. She's
Evelyn
like my biggest
Johnson.
character.
Of course.
So what else do you do?
Well, speaking of Evelyn Johnson, actually, so the other thing that I do.
That's a great segue. Thanks for teeing that up for me.
Good one. I am a writer, and I write horror, which I think surprises no one after the conversation we just had.
Right.
And
Alice
I
is
have.
over here shivering.
No, I don't shiver.
Oh my, she's 2 minutes soda for that.
Okay, bod.
Okay, bud.
Okay, bod. Go ahead. Write horror.
Yes, so I have a few short stories that have been
So
published.
wait, is it?
And
So wait, you write about like
Teeth,
romance
mostly.
stuff? So because you wrote about horrors.
oh my gosh.
Whoa.
Horror. Oh,
Whoa.
jeez, I couldn't understand you with your thick Texan
Oh
accent.
my god, he heard what he wanted.
Horror
to.
House. Horror House.
That is that one.
That's
Dolly
Horror
Parton
House.
movie.
Yeah. Oh, that's the best little horror house in Texas. Yes.
That is,
Anyway,
that's
anything
movie.
can happen here on Cheese and Chit Chat. We're all
Oh
full
my.
of a single bite of a string cheese.
I am so
I am
full.
feeling it. Alice is shivering
Whoa.
from all the cheese, like she's having the cheese sweats. The cheese
sweats.
shivers.
Good
It's
thing
the
you
meat
can't see
sweats and
me.
the cheese shivers.
That makes sense. Yeah.
So yes, you write horrors.
I-
horror.
God.
Horror.
You know, maybe a little of both. Why not?
Horror about horrors.
That'll be my next.
I'm sure.
My next project. No,
The thing is I'm sure you could sell quite a few copies of whatever
I
that is.
probably could, yeah.
I hear there's a whole subgenre about it.
yes, there
No,
definitely.
I'm
is.
just guessing. I don't know.
Anyway.
Oh, so you're supposed to keep me on track, Alice.
Oh my!
Anyway.
Oh, was that her job?
That is
oh.
her job.
I'm just trying to listen.
Like, Dad, shut up.
Oh
You're
my
embarrassing me. Oh my God, you're so mid.
You're so embarrassing.
Okay, bod. Moving on. Keep going.
So because I'm a writer,
You're a writer.
I've been drafted, shall we say, into helping write an Evelyn Johnson story. That
Yes.
was where this segue was originally going 10 minutes ago.
Because Alice, who plays Shivery Cheese Alice, who plays Evelyn Johnson,
We're putting her on your
loves
gravestone.
Nancy Drew books.
I love mysteries.
And Judy Bolton.
oh,
is that
Judy
it?
Bolton. Really good.
The Annette series.
Oh, I haven't read it, but I'm trying to collect them all.
Apparently, Annette Funicello had a whole series of
For mysteries.
teen mysteries.
News to me.
Anyway, so talking about your...
So I'm actually working on, some personal projects, but I'm also working on quite a few things for the Mimiverse currently.
Yeah, I'm basically going to bleed you dry.
Well,
And
that's only fair for Queenie Bee.
and as payment, I will give you 1/3 of one stick of smoked string cheese, which you kind of liked,
Yeah.
even though you ate it like a monster, like
Does
an
that surprise you?
inhuman alien who's never seen string cheese in your life. How do I consume this?
I mean, she did admit to drinking warm water before this. So I
Oh,
mean,
yeah.
we can't put
I
anything
drink
past
room
her.
temperature water.
My God, you're
Relax.
Vulcan.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
Okay, so going on. So you're writing some stuff for the members. What are you writing?
I am working with Alice on an Evelyn Johnson mystery story. I am working on. Can I talk about the comic? Okay, I had to check that I was allowed to say.
Tell us everything.
Copyrights.
I'm working on a Phantom Lake Kids comic book.
Yep.
That has been completely drafted. And
We need an artist. If you're an artist out there, let us know.
actually, yeah, if you are a comic book artist, please reach out to Chris. I would love to talk. And lastly, for the members, I'm working on, I don't know how many episodes yet, but at least one episode
Of the Phantom Lake PD.
Yes.
I'm sort of the showrunner. You're my sort of main writer friend who's helping map all this all out. Alice was supposed to be here to help, but she wasn't.
You guys didn't tell me this meeting was planned before, so...
Sure.
I'm
So,
pretty
you have to check
sure.
you know what we
check with my agent.
Do you know what we say to that? We say, okay, bud.
Okay.
Okay, bud. That is a dumb thing we say around our house just to annoy my wife.
What we say in the county.
Well, it's something we say in Phantom Lake County. It's something we say in the county. Mm-hmm. Okay, bud.
Okay, bud.
So yeah, Jackie here is busy, and I'm keeping her busy in the Mimiverse, tethering her to it.
And I hope to act more as well going forward.
Yes,
I think I finally know how to.
There's a good chance.
scripts.
And I mean good chance. I mean. It's happening. Jackie will be appearing in the Phantom Lake PD in at least one role, if not more, or multiple. Also behind the scenes, in front of the scenes, on the side of the scenes.
Probably at my own
above
house.
the scenes, below the scenes, too slow. You know, it's like the...
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, forget
Yeah.
it. Visual joke that doesn't work in an audio medium. So then that tells us all about how and why and where and when. Now for the really important questions as we're wrapping up here, but I'm sure we could talk all night. Who is Jackie Baker?
I think we established I'm an alien.
Right. Who doesn't understand how to eat string cheese.
I
drink
do what I
water.
want. I do what I want.
So you're a contrarian.
Yes, I suppose I am.
What is your favorite song?
My favorite song ever?
Ever.
All Along the Watchtower. Jimi Hendrix.
The Jimi Hendrix.
The Jimi
Okay,
Hendrix.
okay,
Yeah.
okay.
Yeah.
What is your favorite Mimiverse movie?
Oh, that one is actually really tough these days. I mean, I should say the one I'm in, but
It's okay. It's okay.
that's really hard. So I've always really liked Moon Zombies a
It's a good
lot.
one. It's a good one.
Attack of the Moon Zombies, but like Guns.
Alice isn't in it though, so
Oh yeah, well,
How can you like it?
yeah. Although you were only like 3 years old when we made it, so
yeah, there were no 3-year-olds on the moon.
There
yeah,
could have
that's
been.
right. There could have been.
I really like Guns of the Apocalypse too, though.
That's a good one. That's a
Yeah.
good one. What's your least favorite Mimiverse movie?
Ooh, least favorite.
Piss someone off. Go.
Well, Cave Women.
How dare you?
That's
That's gonna be my answer whenever anyone answers that
It's-
question. How dare you?
it's
Okay,
a little-
Bod.
Okay, bud.
It's a weaker script. No offense.
Well, it is. It is. And I actually, some of my early stuff, I feel there's some weakness
Yeah,
that pops through.
You hadn't had the.
I mean, it's not-
experience
It's not Three Bad Girls Who Find a Gun and Become Vampires, which is the greatest script
Nothing
ever
is.
written.
Yet. Yep.
Yeah, nothing really is.
What can be?
Nothing will ever beat that.
Nothing will
script.
No.
ever. I try to revisit it,
my-
and I'm like, there's no way I can
Like
do this
really,
ever again.
like the first time I ever am doing like scripted lines that I have to memorize, and it's that.
It's that script.
God, I could do anything
So-
after that script.
So let's talk about Three Bad Girls Who Find a Gun and Become Vampires. What would you say is the quintessential Queenie Bee line?
Oh,
Asking the deep probing questions.
is it what comes after two, Chauncey?
What comes after two, Chauncey?
What comes after two, Chauncey?
You're so unhinged in that scene, and I love it because you're just so like crazy. I don't know. You're just you're just out of control.
I mean, that's maybe my personal favorite, but the Queenie Bee line is, of course, I want to be a bad girl.
A
bad
bad
girl
girl.
with a gun.
Exactly. What would you say the Babyface's quintessential line is?
Well, you can't go wrong with I don't like no boy. But,
That's a double negative. That means you do like a boy. What's his name?
his name is Gerald.
That's a good
That's
name.
a good name.
Well,
If that doesn't set the tone for the entire movie, because that's in the first scene, right?
It is,
After we
it
get
is.
Marty's
Yeah, the intro.
Marty's intro, that's the first scene where it's just like that. I think
like that boy.
is going to sell you on if you're going to be able to stand the rest of the movie. If at the end of that scene you're like, nope, you're not going to like the rest of the movie because it just gets worse or better depending on your perspective.
there's also the I am evil now. There's no other way.
evil
That
now.
like really just captures Babyface.
Yep.
Okay, I will say that one of the best lines written in it was actually written by you.
What?
Because you suggested sunburn.
I
That was
did?
your idea.
Yeah.
Remember
Laughing
that?
at
I was never gonna write
Sunburn.
that
I just
because I
thought you were
said
being
the
weird.
sun it burns,
burns.
and you're like sunburn.
Well, I
Yeah,
didn't know
good job,
that.
good job. I mean that is That's something.
That is the line that you should always remember.
I mean, really, it's something. What it is we're unsure, but
That's
it's
up
something.
to you.
Listen, it's
Right.
in the eye of the beholder.
So now for some really important questions. What's your favorite kind of cheese?
Oh, okay. So I actually really like cheese, and I really like smelly cheese, and my favorite cheese is Roquefort,
Wow.
Whoa.
which is a very strong cheese. A very strong cheese. It
Jackie
will smell
like
up
the
your
stank
car.
cheese. Now, what cheese? Roquefort takes some effort, right? It's not one of those things.
Oh,
you
no, that's
just-
not an intro cheese.
No.
No.
If you were to go into someone's fridge and there was an assortment of cheeses, and this person said to you, take a bite of any cheese you want, what cheese do you hope they have that isn't Roquefort? That you just grab the block and you'd be like, oh.
How's that go? That's tough. I really like
See?
cheese.
See?
I mean,
it has to obviously be on a block. It's not going to be something like Cotija where it's just
yeah,
like you're going
no,
to take
yeah.
a bite and it's just like falls to pieces.
yeah, it crumbles or something. I mean, I like a good goat cheese, but that's also kind of not really what you take a
Wow.
bite of.
You know, for the first episode of Cheese and Chit-Chat, this was a good choice. Like, our cheese choices
I love cheese.
a little out there, right?
I like a good chèvre.
So, another question. First, let me set the scene here.
Oh dear.
It's 3 a.m. You have some friends or some close relatives or something staying at your house. You're standing in the kitchen. Suddenly the light flicks on. And whoever this is sees you at the fridge
I already know the answer to this.
eating shreds of cheese out of the bag. Just shoveling that crap in. Would you be ashamed?
No.
Hell no. I just like upend that
All
bag,
right,
man.
listen. One, no, because I do that. So shut up.
Really, we're really getting to the meat of things. Well, the cheese of things, but the meat of things.
Listen, sometimes you just get like a little coffee mug and you put some shredded cheese in it, and then you have yourself a snack. You just eat some shredded cheese. Or
Okay, that's the first I've
If
ever
you're-
heard of anyone
if you're
who goes as far as
I'm
throwing it
alien.
at a coffee mug. What? Okay, this is good stuff. This
or
is-
if
we're
you're
gonna win
really
an award for this podcast.
if you're really feeling adventurous, have you ever tried putting some shredded cheese on a plate and heating it up in the microwave and eating it with a fork? Works for mozzarella.
I
string
will admit
cheese,
that
cheese
I
on that
have.
other. Yep.
But it was cheese
Melted
curds.
cheese. Oh yeah, that'll do.
And actually, my dad used to do that.
Yeah.
He would get cheese curds and he put it on a plate, and it melts so wonderfully.
Yes.
And you just eat it that way. That was
It's good
yeah.
stuff. That's a good 3 a.m. snack.
David, your brother who played Butch, you guys all know David Mim, he is a bit of a culinary nerd, and he got it in his head that he wanted to perfect cheese leather, where you literally cook cheese until it becomes leathery, and then you just eat it. It's actually really good. But yeah, David was
Why
on
have
that.
I not been given
I-
this
you know,
cheese
I think
leather?
we need
This
to
is
talk
the
to David
first
about
I'm
making
hearing
some
of this,
cheese
and
leather.
Keeping
I'm
it to ourselves, Jackie.
I'm
Yeah.
hurt that I'm not included in
Yeah,
this.
we need to get some cheese leather going here. Alice, what's your favorite cheese?
Oh, I'm basic. And I
Oh
like provolone, but
Wow.
a good sharp cheddar.
Provolone is so
That's
like
your-
inoffensive as a cheese. It's basically bread.
That's why you can't go
And
wrong with it.
not like Alice just spilled water all over herself. I really wish this was video. Now she's definitely gonna be shivering.
Yep.
Because it's only like 60 degrees out. It's
nice
55, 60 degrees outside after being 90, so it feels colder. Alice, it's not even like nice bread. It's not even like a good bread.
Yeah.
Provolone is the white bread
Yeah.
of
I like
cheeses.
white bread.
Oh my god.
Wow.
Well, it's because
No accounting for taste.
We had. Wow.
And this is the last episode of
So-
Cheese and Chit-Chat.
And we never spoke to each
I
other
just-
again.
I grew up, in my childhood.
Yeah, because you're so old.
Oh my.
I'm like
You're not even
90.
technically an adult yet, but sure, tell us about
I'm
your
close.
childhood.
My childhood was so long ago that
Oh my god.
the bread of wheat bread just brings me back, but like we never had it.
See, there's a reason in the Mim household. When I grew up, my parents only bought frickin' white bread, and I always wanted wheat bread because I love wheat bread.
No.
And so now that I'm an adult, we buy wheat bread, and of course my kids are like, "We want white bread."
Yeah, because
Wow.
it's a
We're just
special
it's like
treat.
a continuing a cycle of violence
It
almost.
it
right?
is. It's the bread cycle.
The bread cycle. cycle of bread violence. I don't know.
The thing about provolone is you can't go wrong with it because it doesn't overpower anything. So
because it has no flavor.
It has no flavor.
blandest
So it goes on the side to like if you're with a sandwich, it goes on the side.
I mean,
have, like,
okay,
a nice, like lettuce or like
provolone on a
meat
sandwich, sure.
It's just like I don't eat it plain normally, but
I do.
or like wrapped around.
Jackie
I
would.
eat literally any cheese plain
Wrapped around
from a
salami?
coffee mug.
Is there a cheese you won't eat that you've tried and you're just like, not for me?
Not one that I've encountered, no.
Okay.
I won't.
Rockford.
I mean, that's a strong cheese.
I don't think I've ever had that, but
Yeah.
It's stronger than blue cheese.
well, I don't like blue cheese that much.
Well, then
Probably
you would
not
not like it.
gonna.
I like it on like buffalo like pizzas, like that's good.
Yeah,
I
yeah.
just want,
Yeah, that's
You're talking about
That's-
blue cheese here.
yeah, I just want to eat a chunk of it.
yeah.
Yeah.
You know?
yeah,
Like
yeah.
a blue cheese drizzle
Yeah.
or
Right.
something.
Yeah,
Quick,
that's fine.
Quick question
I would
as
eat
we're about to wrap this up. First off, let me thank you for being my first ever guest on the Mimiverse Cheese and Chit-Chat.
You're so welcome.
And for doing whatever it is you did to that poor string cheese.
I do what I want.
Where can we find out more about your Jackie Baker writings? Obviously, you can see your movie, Three
yeah,
Bad Girls Who
I
Find a Gun to Become
think that's-
Vampires, at the Patreon, or you could buy it, or you
Yeah.
could, find it anywhere, really, on Vimeo. You can watch it.
Yeah, that's pretty easily found. So I publish under Jacqueline Baker, JACKLYN.
Very, very Texas name, by the way.
Thank you.
There's something about that.
I suppose that's a compliment.
Yes.
So you can
Jacqueline.
find me at jacquelinebaker.com.
All spelled out, Jacqueline.
JACKLYNBAKER.
Right.
.com.
Now, your last name's Baker,
That's correct.
which means at some point in your lineage, someone baked some stuff.
Probably.
Do you bake?
I bake occasionally.
Do you ever put cheese in your baking?
Well,
A cheese like bread.
I mean, you can make some good like garlic cheese roll things.
I will say
Those
that
are
you
pretty,
recently
like,
gave
cheddar
us.
biscuits. Yeah.
You recently
I did
baked some
banana
some
bread.
banana bread.
Yeah.
And it lasted less than 24 hours in this house.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I'm a pretty solid.
There's baby noises. I mean, it's just there's a reason we're sitting outside is because our house is so loud and so chaotic, and we have a window open, and you can still hear a bunch of stuff. And that moth is back.
It is. It likes you.
Okay, so I would like to thank you for being on the first ever episode of Mimiverse Cheese and Chit Chat with my co-host Alice Mim. Say hi, Alice Mim.
Hi, Alice Mim.
See, full circle.
Thank you for having me.
Thank you for coming. Thank you for.
I'll talk about cheese anytime.
Yeah. Thanks for listening, and we hope this is a success because I want to find out more about the cheese preferences of every actor. Or
Me too, honestly.
I see. Look, it's Short Stack.
Hi, Short Stack.
Say hi, Short Stack.
Hi, Short Stack.
She did it. All right.
We're a collective.
All right.
So thank you guys so much. Good night.
Good night.
Night.
Good night.
Good night.
Good night.
And
Good night.
perfect. Good night. Bye. Okay, bye.
Okay, bye.